Hey guys, I'm Trevor.
I'm Vincent.
We are the Anthony and Todd Show. Today we're going to be taking a look at Bill Gates' latest project, the Internet.
Ooh.
The Internet is a soul band from LA. It's headed up by Sid, past Odd Future member. Also featured on Everything Is Recorded's latest record, Everything Is Recorded by Richard Russell, which is a top-notch record. Hive Mind is their fourth album, the band's fourth album. Their lineup has changed quite a bit since their starts. Now they have Steve Lacy, Matt Martians.
Yeah. Matt Martians was the OG member.
Yeah, he's an OG member.
Yeah, it was OG. It was him and Sid.
And Steve Lacy's new though.
Steve Lacy came in during Ego Death. That's when they became like an actual band besides Sid and Matt Martians. But this new record is a new start from the Internet. The Ego Death was a new start, but it didn't feel like fully fledged out. They explored too many sounds on it, in my opinion. There's moments like Girl, and they clashed them with more like the contemporary like soul moments, which I don't think. I think there's too many types of like genres in there, but it wasn't meshed into like one consistent sound. It was like kind of all over the place, and there was too many features that like weren't bad. Like none of them were bad. Like Kate Tronada's production was good. Like the moment with Vince Staples on there, his like performance is decent, but they're just not needed. And 2017 last year, Matt Martians, Steve Lacy, and Sid all dropped solo material. Steve Lacy's record I found to be okay. I think it just needed to be more consolidated on like one sound.
Yeah.
Sid's record bored me to death so much. I found it just to be so like trashy contemporary R&B that wasn't needed. And Matt Martians I didn't listen to. But I did hear the track he did with Tyler Creator, and I thought it was pretty enjoyable. But like Sid, one of my problems with the Internet is I don't think Sid's the greatest vocalist. I think she's improving as time goes on. Yeah. But Sid has always been very fragile with her vocals. And just because you're fragile with your vocals isn't a bad thing. Like, it's a compliment because it caters to your uniqueness of your own personal sound. But I think she just hasn't mastered it, and she hasn't come to the point where she can easily flaunt it. I think on this new record, though, she has kind of more or less mastered it. It's not the fullest extent, but it's a point where I think it's actually good. I think she can do more. I think should continue to progress as an artist, but I think on this point her vocals across this entire project are good, and there's only I really don't have a problem with this. I think I have a problem with more the repetitiveness of some of her vocals occasionally, but I don't have any like major quips about that. I think like my major reasoning why I didn't care for the Internet as much was Sid's vocals, and the fact that those are kind of fine-tuned. I'm now more or less enjoying the act more because I think the production's always been super groovy, super funky, has like shown throwbacks to like acts like Funkadelic and Parliament, and just bringing that kind of like old school sense back, and the fact that Sid's vocals are now good, and Steve Lacy's in the mix, and Steve Lacy's an excellent guitar player. He's a fucking great guitar player. Some of my favorite like musical moments on this are Steve Lacy just like going at it. Like he's never doing anything like super duper flashy. It's always like very moderate playing, but it's so
he's
like
only there to accompany Sid basically.
Yeah, it's so well done. He has a cool couple vocal performances, and I'll get into that later why I think it's kind of iffy sometimes, but I think and Matt Martian's synth work and all of his other production and the whole entire act, like even the artists, I can't think of their names, I think they blend well together as a group. There's some great band chemistry here. And on the first listen, I didn't really care for this. I thought some of Sid's vocals were too repetitive. I thought some of the production cues and some of the guitar work kind of mirrored each other. But listening it to a second time, analyzing everything and all the different elements and how they're stacked on top of each other and how they're almost blended into one piece, I think this is a good record that highlights what the Internet was always kind of going for and what they were trying to go for Ego Death, but now they're going down like a one constant road, which is nice. There's been moments where they almost switch up genres, like they blend genres, like they blend like psychedelic rock and like R&B and like funk, but they all seem in like the same tune with each other. They don't go past that. But yeah, there's great band chemistry. Steve Lacy's guitar and bass, Sid's vocals, fantastic synths, like all these. It reminds me a lot of what I really liked about Screaming Female's last records. I feel like all the band members were meant to perform with each other.
Yeah.
And this, they seem like one organism. They seem almost
Very in tune with
each other, like almost like one being. Which I think the whole entire I think the track "Come Together" really focuses that into like public eye, because like the track lyrically is all about them coming together. Sid and Steve Lacy share vocals together. There isn't like one forefront over the other, and all the instrumentation almost is nested on top of each other, creating this very grooving funk track that is very peaceful, very nice and hearty bass on that track that I really enjoyed. Like and like everything's built to be this one group. It isn't supposed to be the Sid show. Like I felt like previous projects have just been the Sid show, which made sense like before Ego Death, because it was just Sid and Matt Martians. But like even though like Ego Death just didn't need to be that Sid heavy as it was, and I think this is a little bit less Sid heavy, but I think there's some moments where just like Steve Lacy should get a time to shine more. I think Matt Martian's vocally should get some time to shine, and even like throw in a couple features I think would be making just a little bit more spice, because I think Sid's vocals do kind of are in the same tune of each other, but they're not bad. Like they are good.
That's my biggest quip, I think, is that this record just sounds the same through and through. It's almost an hour.
Yeah.
You know, the first couple tracks, I was like, okay, this is kind of exciting. You know, it's exciting stuff. I enjoyed Come Together. The Burbank Funk was interesting. Come Over, La Di Da, in my opinion, best track on the album.
Yeah.
And then just kind of like getting into some of these tracks later on. Probably from Look What You Started on until the end. Like the last 4 or 5 tracks, I was just like, can we end this? You know, I just wanted to be over. I just wanted to stop hearing the same types of things. I think some of the rap features, or rap sections, not really features, towards the end made things a little more interesting.
Yeah.
But like, I think that a feature or 2 or 3 could do wonders for a track, for an album like this, a project like this.
See, the problem with that is they have to be like the right features.
Oh yeah, you can't just say like who's popular now. Like let's get an Ugly God feature just because.
Let's like I know Vince Staples. Let's have Vince Staples on the track. Like that's why it didn't work last time. Like his performance was good, but he doesn't fit in with what you're doing. But like the Big Rube feature, Big Rube of Dungeon Family fame. Features on It Gets Better With Time, which is actually my favorite track on here, just because I think it provides it's the best of the atmosphere that we get on the album. It's like great production, Sid's vocals, but then you get to this 2 like feature sections with the other one being Patrick Page II also on there, and it just creates a different sound. Most of the things I think this album needs to cut is I think sometimes it just goes on too long. Like tracks have like they musically progress, but you also aren't covering like anything that really needs to be covered. Like just because you're progressing doesn't mean it needs to be shown. Yeah, like we don't need like 3 or 4 choruses on something like Stay the Night or Come Over. I think those got really tiring. Next Time in Humble Pie got really tiring. For me, it was these are just like long-winded tracks that I was just like, can we please just get on with it. And the tracks I enjoyed the most seem to be some of the shortest. Yeah. They're short and they're snappy and they're sweet, and I enjoy that. But there are some that I feel like just drag out for an incredibly long time, and I'm just like, okay, let's move on to a new subject. There are also a lot of tracks about like finding love or being lonely, and I'm like, okay, let's move on. Advice for Sid, if I'm even in a place to give advice. Yeah. Sid's feature on the Everything Was Recorded project earlier this year, I thought was awesome. And I would love her to use some of that personnel and some of the connections that she made from that project, or could have from Richard Russell, to help out with a new internet project. Sampha, I think, would fit in
really well on some of this.
Yeah.
I think that even a Kamasi saxophone feature would help a lot with this. That's kind of
even like not even like features, like even like additional personnel on the track. Just,
yeah.
like, to play,
it doesn't even have to say like featuring Kamasi Washington. It's literally just like I want something musically different, and I don't want Kamasi to join the internet.
Yeah,
I just want him to be featured on maybe a couple of tracks
you just want
and
something
join in
else.
with that.
Like
yeah,
I think
I
like
want
that's
something
why
else.
some of the horn sections on this are really good, because they provide these little moments of like, oh, we're getting something new. I don't think they're around enough.
No, not nearly enough. And that's like, I cannot help but compare the internet in this project to The Roots, who I think are a superb hip hop band, one of the first to like really show that hip hop can be live music. I also can't help but compare them to like the Soulquarians, the whole like collective of Jay Dilla and Erykah Badu and all them in like the mid 2000s or like late 90s, early 2000s. The internet just like doesn't live up to those collaborations, and I wish they would become something more like that.
Yeah.
I think adding Steve Lacy to this was an awesome contribution.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that he is on board with this whole project. But like let's get the ball rolling and add a couple more personnel, maybe not even as permanent members, but
No,
like
just not even like personnel, but just like, hey, can you play like the flute on this track?
yeah, seriously.
Like,
that's what I loved about Everything Is Recorded, and that's what I loved about like The Roots, is that they were super good with collaborations like this. I want the internet to collaborate with other people, because I think that the sound that they're going for now, and the soul, I guess, is working out for them. But
it needs to be bigger.
It needs to be bigger. It needs to be better, more fine-tuned, and overall just more interesting.
Yeah. I think going back to cutting some moments down, there's some moments that I think just go on for too long, as I mentioned before. And the main moment I wanted to bring up was Hold On, because I think that's the closer of everything, and it just goes on forever. Like, and it progresses, like, but it just keeps on going on. Like, it's just like, I think that's one of their problems, is they like, but if it had like different acts or different instruments, maybe it'd be worth it. But they're just, because you're progressing and telling new, or you're showing us a new type of new like a new sound, I guess, doesn't mean it's like actually worth it.
Yeah, because
like it's one of the longer tracks on here, and it just isn't really needed. Going back to what you said about Sid kind of being repetitive lyrically, this is like lyricism isn't something I really expect from them, and it's something that is very lacking from them, because I feel like Sid kind of tells the same song over and over again lyrically, but it's the performance and the production that carries her through.
And the soul music it's not always about the production. A lot of soul tracks from back when soul music was like super popular and mainstream, pretty similar. Soul had its own like sound.
Yeah.
But the lyrics and the stories and the actual soul, like heart and soul put into the tracks, is what set them apart. I feel like Sid has the heart for it, but she doesn't show it as much. She seems unenthusiastic. A lot of the time, moments that are supposed to be like very heartfelt don't always come across as so. And the lyricism, like repeated chorus multiple times, or the same story just being told over and over, it's sort of the wear on me after a while.
I think it's the moments that she is the most minimal, or lyricism is the most minimal, that it's the best, like La Di Da and Come Together.
Yeah.
I think those are shining examples of when the minimal lyricism really works for you, but you can't have that for an entire record, because then you need more than that. You need to show depth. One of the moments I found to be the most lyrically interesting was Stay the Night. I just felt like she felt very, I don't know, so like natural, which was nice.
If that track I enjoyed, it felt natural. It just felt like a little long.
It had like it just like that, the acoustic guitar, the very psychedelic blend of instruments, and like how she's just paced on over top everything. I really enjoyed the hook where she's facing like left and right between the ears, which I think is really cool. It provides a different soundscape that they haven't touched.
It reminds me a lot of Baby It's Cold Outside. And I seriously mean that.
Like, yeah, like I get that. Like, that's not totally out of the realm. Least favorite track on this, and there's two moments in particular where I feel like elements, for the most part, I think production and performance-wise, they're able to place everything on top of each other, and it works. It may be repetitive, but it works. Like everything, it makes sense how they got to these points. But like Bravo, the drums are so like mastered wrong. Like they feel like I don't know anything about mastering music. Like I know the bare essential about mastering music, but I can tell you like you don't want that steady like rhythm to be that dominant over everything, because then it becomes like very just like annoying. Like I just found it to be really annoying because like I wanted to listen to Sid, but I was just hearing the drums and Sid underneath them. Like it didn't.
It'd be like if Meg White just pounded out her 4 count on the drums as loud as possible.
Well, Jack White was whispering.
Yes.
But like I think that I just found that to be super annoying, and it just felt like it was going on forever, and the drums just like were steady throughout the entire thing. Like they never stopped. And it's like a 4-minute track, and it shouldn't have been that way. Also, Roll, Burbank Funk. Some people, a lot of people seem to really enjoy this track. I don't really care for it. I just feel like the chemistry is kind of off. And Steve Lacy, I know he's a talented vocalist, but on this track, he's just not able to deliver. And Sid is actually in the background able to carry it more than he is. I feel like moments when they're blended together, it works. But like his solo performance isn't good. But his solo performance with his performance later with Matt Martians, I find to be really good on Beat Goes On. I feel like that's a nice moment where we get something different, because it's like we didn't hear anything from Matt Martians besides like a couple like instances here and there of maybe some background vocals.
Yeah.
But like on this, we actually get to see Matt Martians go into it, which I think is cool, because he is an original member of the internet. So I don't think he's always presented. He's presented production-wise, but I know he sings, so I would like to see it more. That's another element of this album. I think it just needs... I think we could see more... You mentioned more features, more additional personnel, but like mix up the vocals. It doesn't always have to be Sid. It doesn't need to be Sid heavy. This is a very Sid heavy album, but it doesn't really need to be.
No,
and
it
just
could
because
easily be anybody else.
And just because it's a Sid heavy album doesn't mean it's bad. But I think it's the right matching of personnel to where it doesn't seem, and the right matching of length and the type of tracks that makes it seem very Sid heavy on this. But yeah, I enjoy a lot of these tracks. Like Come Together, La Di Da, Stay the Night, It Gets Better with Time, and Next Time / Humble Pie. I find all to be really groovy, very funky, very psychedelic at times. And this is kind of what funk or soul in the modern era kind of should be. They still have a lot more to grow, but this actually has really impressed me with their work. I think everyone around everyone in the group has vastly matured in this, and this seems like a more project where they're trying to console themselves before they maybe venture out into different material. So I think this is a good record. I think there's a lot of soulful material. It just is lyrically repetitive at times, and Sid's voice just kind of seems repetitive, but she delivers good performances throughout.
Yeah.